There are moments in life when everything feels loud, even when the room is quiet. Your thoughts rush like traffic, your breathing gets shallow without you noticing, and your mind runs ahead of your body as if it's chasing something you can't name. And in the middle of all that noise, there's a gentle pull inside you. A tug, a whisper that says, "Stop for a moment. Look here. Listen deeply." That's where this message begins. Imagine someone placing a hand on your shoulder, not to startle you, but to steady you. Imagine a voice, calm, grounded, unwavering, saying, "Still your busy mind, my child. Turn your attention to me and hear with your deepest self. Not your anxious self, not your distracted self, not the version of you trying to keep up with deadlines, responsibilities, and expectations. Your deepest self, the part of you that knows truth by instinct, that recognizes meaning before your mind can explain it. Because what comes next isn't casual encouragement. It's not a vague affirmation or a soft suggestion to stay positive. No, this is a direct caution. A message meant to save you hardship before it arrives. A warning delivered with tenderness, but also urgency. The kind of guidance you only receive when something important is beginning to shift beneath the surface. You might have felt already. That subtle discomfort that doesn't quite go away. That tiny sense that something around you or within you is off. You can't point to it, yet you know it's there. And for a split second, you wonder if you're overthinking, if you're imagining things. But you're not. You have felt it, an awareness that matters are not as they should be. This isn't paranoia. It's perception. It's the early signal of a change approaching, one meaningful enough that you were stirred from the inside before anything visible happened on the outside. And it gets more serious, because the voice doesn't merely say, "Pay attention." It says, "I'm reaching out for something important is approaching." There is weight in that sentence. Not fear, weight. A sense of gravity, like someone who sees farther than you and is urging you to pause before stepping forward. And then comes a plea that feels almost personal. "Stay close to me. If you depart, you will lose the sole guidance that can truly lead you." It's a reminder we often need but rarely admit. Left on our own, we make choices from fear, exhaustion, or impatience. We react instead of understanding. We drift instead of navigating. So the message of this first phase is clear. Slow down. Listen. Stay close. You are being alerted, not abandoned. You are being cautioned, not condemned. Something is shifting, and you are being guided, not left alone to figure it out. And maybe the real question isn't, what's coming? Maybe the question is, will you be still enough to hear what you already know? When the unseen moves and your spirit feels it first. If part one was the invitation to slow down, part two is the moment the curtain lifts, just enough for you to glimpse what's moving beneath the surface of your life. There's a line in the message that hits with unexpected clarity, for hidden powers are vigorously at work. Most people hear a sentence like that and imagine something dramatic or cinematic, but the reality is quieter and more familiar. Hidden forces aren't always storms or catastrophes. Sometimes they show up as pressure you can't explain, shifts in mood inside your home, tension with someone who used to be close, or a heaviness that follows you even on days you should feel fine. Sometimes the unseen shows up in ordinary moments, late at night, early in the morning, or in the ache you carry beneath your smile. I roused you before dawn. I am working to shield you. Have you ever woken up earlier than usual with no reason? Or felt a sudden instinct to reflect, withdraw, or pay attention? Those moments we brush off as coincidence often aren't accidental at all. They are interruptions meant to get your attention before something else does. Because according to the message, something is indeed trying to interfere. The domain of darkness intends to sever your ties, diminish your attachments. And this isn't talking about horror movie darkness. It's talking about the quiet influences that erode your clarity. People who pull you away from your values. Habits that drain your spirit even if they boost your image. Environments that feel light on the surface but leave you heavy afterward. Thoughts that sneak in disguised as logic but actually steal your peace. The message continues. I am your guardian, and this very day, this is that caution. Meaning, this is not drama. This is not fear-mongering. This is a warning given out of protection. And with protection comes empowerment. I will grant you the strength to end patterns that take away your inner calm. We tend to tolerate things long after our spirit has outgrown them. Relationships that chip away at us. Routines that exhaust instead of nourish. Mental loops that drain our energy. Roles we were never meant to carry. If you've been feeling tired for reasons you can't name, this message names them for you. Something is nearby that doesn't belong. An unfamiliar influence lingers near your home. And whether home means your physical space, your family, or your inner life, you know when something foreign is trying to settle in. But here's the hope. Should you earnestly seek me, I will transform this circumstance. It cannot be postponed further. You're not being told this to panic. You're being told this because it's time. Time to stop dismissing your intuition. Time to stop absorbing what drains you. Time to stop waiting for peace to return on its own. Something is being stirred so something new can begin. When your inner world speaks before your mouth does. Have you ever had a day where time feels strange, like it's slipping through your fingers even though the clock keeps dragging slowly? You feel like you're running behind, yet also standing still. Everything feels urgent, but nothing feels within reach. That tension, that restlessness, it isn't random. And it isn't just busyness. It's a signal. The message describes it clearly. Do you feel moments slipping by? Everything feels urgent, yet just beyond your reach. Most of us do, but we rarely pause long enough to ask why. Because here's a truth we don't like admitting. Sometimes what looks like chaos outside is actually conflict inside. A conflict we didn't choose, but are still caught in. What appears to be too much work, too many responsibilities, or too many things happening at once, is at its root something deeper, an unseen conflict. It's the tug of war between who you are becoming and what is trying to pull you back. Between what you want to hold together and what is quietly falling apart for a reason. And somewhere in that heavy space, you realize you've taken on too much, not because you're weak, but because you care. Because you don't want to disappoint people. Because you're convinced that if you don't hold everything together, everything will fall apart. But the truth is almost the opposite. Sometimes the very thing exhausting you is the thing you weren't meant to carry. The message says you are nearing your limit. And most people hear that and think it's a warning about burnout. But this is deeper. This is spiritual fatigue, emotional depletion, the kind that comes not from doing too much, but from fighting something you can't see. Maybe you felt it, the irritation you can't explain, the heaviness that appears out of nowhere, the sense that you're walking through days that don't feel like yours anymore. And then comes a moment, sudden, quiet, unavoidable, where the message cuts through everything. Pause now. Breathe deeply and listen to me. I am your true support. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But how often do we actually do it? How often do we stop fighting long enough to hear what's trying to reach us? There's a reason the message says, if you continue to overlook it, it will arrive suddenly. However, if you move closer to me now, I can still intervene. There's a window of clarity that opens in life, a moment when your spirit becomes honest, when the noise fades just enough for truth to slip through, and the message warns that the moment is now. This very instant is your clear indication. You are hearing this not by coincidence, not as background noise, not because the algorithm picked it, but because your inner world recognizes something you haven't said out loud yet. And then comes one of the most practical instructions in the entire message. You must purify your surroundings. You must set apart anew your home, your words, and your daily routines. This means a few things. Clean your space, physically and emotionally. Let go of conversations that drain you. End the habits that numb you. Create rhythms that nurture your spirit, not just fill your schedule. Because your surroundings shape your clarity, and clarity shapes your future. So ask yourself, what in your environment steals your peace? What repeats itself because you keep tolerating it? What would change if you treated your inner state with the same urgency you treat external demands? Sometimes the shift you need doesn't begin with a big decision. It begins with a deep breath and the willingness to listen, letting go of what looks strong but feels heavy. Let's talk about something we all struggle with, even if we pretend we don't: letting go. Not the poetic kind you see on motivational posters. I mean the real, painful, uncomfortable kind. Letting go of influences, people, and habits that make you look strong on the outside, but leave you empty on the inside. The message states this directly. You need to move from influences, people, and habits that boost your outward self, but drain your inner being. That line hits hard because it's true for almost everyone. Most of us are carrying something that doesn't belong to us anymore. A relationship we've outgrown, a role we didn't ask for, an identity we no longer fit into, and we hold on to them because they're familiar, not because they're right. But when your inner world starts to shift, your outer world begins to crack. Your home feels tense. Your relationships feel fragile. Your peace feels delicate. And the message explains why. If your dwelling feels disturbed, these can all signify a change in the spiritual dimension. In other words, something inside you is changing first. Your environment is only reacting to the transformation already happening within. And then comes a truth many of us avoid. You have been carrying responsibilities that are not truly yours. Maybe you became the emotional anchor for everyone around you. Maybe you became the fixer, the peacemaker, the one who handles it. Maybe you learned to carry pain quietly because you didn't want to trouble anyone. But the message says clearly, now I ask you to let go of it all. This is where surrender stops being a spiritual metaphor and becomes a practical decision. Letting go is not weakness. Letting go is clarity. Letting go is the beginning of peace. Because true peace, the deep kind that lives beneath your ribs, doesn't come from holding everything together. It comes from finally releasing what was never yours to hold. True peace is discovered when you follow my direction, surrender entirely. Entirely, not halfway, not only on days when you feel strong, not only when life is quiet. The message emphasizes, not just a part nor for a brief time, but with an honest readiness of heart. That phrase, readiness of heart, is powerful. It means dropping resistance. It means accepting that something in your life must change, even if you don't know what comes next. It means trusting that the discomfort of letting go is smaller than the cost of holding on. And let me add this from personal observation. Every major turning point in life begins with release. Not addition, release. Not gaining something new, but clearing out what blocks what's meant to come. When you stop clinging to what drains you, you make space for what heals you. When you stop performing strength, you discover actual strength. When you stop controlling outcomes, you open the door to transformation. So, if you feel something shifting inside you, if your environment feels unsettled, if you sense a quiet push to let go, it isn't chaos, it's preparation. It's the beginning of renewal. And it always starts with surrender, restoration, purpose, and the quiet strength within. Let's sit with a simple idea. Not every problem is solved by trying harder. We live in a culture that rewards hustle, measurable progress, and visible wins. So when something won't change despite your best efforts, the instinct is to push more, longer hours, better plans, louder voices. But sometimes the path forward is not more doing. It's a different kind of work, the work of letting go. The message we're exploring says it plainly. Certain areas of your life will not find completion through your own striving, but by the power of releasing them. That's a different grammar of success. It asks you to release outcomes you've been chasing and release control you've been clinging to. Why? Because some doors open only after you stop trying to force the lock. Think of recurring patterns you've seen in your life, the same relationship dynamics, the same disappointing job cycles, decisions that yield the same result no matter how you tweak the approach. The message calls those what they are, symptoms of a deeper matter left untouched. If you keep sanding the same rough spots without addressing the underlying grain, you'll never get a smooth finish. So what does releasing actually look like? It's not passive. It's intentional. It might mean surrendering a goal that's been consuming you, forgiving someone you've replayed in your head, or stepping away from a role you accepted out of obligation. The message promises transformation when you do this. I wish to touch that core place to bring you complete and lasting well-being. The touch it speaks of isn't cosmetic, it's restorative at the root. I've seen this in my own life. There was a season where I kept pushing for a specific outcome, a promotion, a recognition, a particular measure of success. No matter how I strategized, I kept hitting the same wall. It took finally letting go of that exact outcome, admitting it might not be mine yet, to notice the new doors that had quietly been preparing for me. Letting go didn't mean failure. It meant realigning with something truer. Another striking phrase in the message is, the obstacles that once halted you now fortify your inner being. This recasts struggle as training rather than punishment. The difficulties you endured didn't waste you, they formed you. The call is to view your past not as an anchor, but as armor. There's a paradox here. When you stop using the energy to resist what's been hard, that same energy can be repurposed to build resilience. And finally, the message points to something both radical and practical. What is being made new now is much more than a feeling. Is your true identity, your life's purpose, a fresh start? Renewal isn't limited to mood shifts or temporary relief. It's identity-level work. That's why surface fixes rarely satisfy. When a change lands deep enough to reframe who you are, everything else reorganizes around that new center: relationships, choices, daily rhythms. So, what are the takeaways you can act on today? First, identify a recurring pattern, a relationship, habit, or outcome that keeps looping. Ask, what core issue hasn't been addressed? Second, practice intentional release. It can be as simple as a spoken decision. I will no longer carry this as my burden. Third, expect restoration to look different than your plan. Sometimes a healthy route arrives disguised as loss at first. This section invites you into a different vision of progress, one where quiet surrender and inner reformation lead to outward breakthroughs. You've been prepared by what you endured. Now the invitation is to step into that designed wholeness, to let the hard things you survive become the very foundation of a new, truer life. The action that matters: commitment, connection, and carrying the message forward. Here's the closing truth the message lays out. What you do next matters more than what you know. You can sense something shifting inside you, a quiet readiness, a soft insistence. Now you are asked to act in a way that matches that movement. Place your full reliance on what I can accomplish through you from this moment on. That line is a call to trust that your next steps are not just your own. You're invited to step into partnership, to move while allowing something greater to work through you. It's not a call to surrender responsibility, but to hand over feudal control and accept a new kind of guidance. Staying connected is central. You must stay closely connected to me. Only in that state will you stand unshaken. Connection here is practical, daily attention, small acts of intentional alignment, and an honesty about what is draining you. It looks like disciplines that aren't legalistic but life-giving. It looks like honesty with yourself and others. It looks like presence. A line that always lands with me is, compulsion limits, but preparation enables. When we try to force outcomes, to coerce life into a shape we prefer, we narrow our vision. Preparation, by contrast, honors timing and cultivates capacity. Think of it as readiness training, the quiet, often unseen work that makes you able to hold bigger things when they arrive. It's the practice sessions before the performance. Your responsiveness is described as the key. Your responsiveness now is the key to unlocking all I have prepared. That's both pressure and promise. Pressure because the window for decisive action may be narrow. Promise because your responsiveness activates possibilities already arranged. It's similar to how an opportunity can feel like a door. You don't create the door. You simply need to walk through when it opens. There's also a communal element here. Consider sharing this message with those who need to hear, for their awakening is tied to yours. Personal transformation isn't purely private. When you step into clarity, you ripple outward. People around you, family, friends, colleagues, can be touched by your steadiness. There's an ethical dimension. Your alignment serves others. That's not guilt-driven, it's invitational. If you've ever had someone's courage give you permission to change, you know what this means. The final tone is not an end, but an ongoing invitation, return for deeper understanding. I will continue to walk beside you. May my peace dwell within your home. You are secure in my care. This frames the whole journey as relational and sustained. You aren't set adrift after a single revelation. You're walked with, coached, and sheltered. So what practical steps can you take right now? Commit to one consistent practice that keeps you connected. A short daily reflection, a meaningful conversation once a week, or a boundary that protects your inner life. Prepare rather than panic. Cultivate small capacities, clearer rhythms, a trusted friend to speak honestly, with time to rest. Share what you learn. Your clarity is contagious. In the end, the message converges into a single posture, faithful attentiveness. Not frantic activity, not passive waiting, but steady readiness. Live with openness, respond quickly to the inner nudges you used to ignore, and trust that when you align your life with this deeper guidance, you will stand unshaken. If there's one takeaway to sit with today, let it be this: your next choice matters. Make it from a place of connection, not pressure. Prepare quietly. Respond faithfully. Walk forward knowing you're not alone, and that the peace you're seeking can begin in the simple act of choosing to stay close, to let go, and to move when called.